I bought the Seventh Ray, Book 1, the Blu-ray, when it came out back in 2006, and I'll probably end up buying the other publications and videos of the Church of the Hermetic Sciences as they come out. Now, for a person like me, the thing that stands out most about this book is the publication of Book H, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the chief book that tells where the Golden Dawn understanding of the Enochian came from. Because it makes clear that there was more to it than a true and faithful relation. It has the 4 12 by 13 tablets, the 4 by 5 tablet, and most of the variety that you're going to see in John Dee's manuscripts are there. One should look at my graphic that I use of the tablets for the most variety put down of what I have seen. It gives information about the absent letter pronunciation, which is the Golden Dawn editions that made it usually easier to pronounce the material. It shows the capital letters that, let you know when the governor names start, but it doesn't explain it in this book. There's a few blank spaces among the quadrant tablets, but the pictures show that those are supposed to be backwards letters. The senior names, the different types of angels, the deity over certain angels, that's all well explained. And of course, some of the functions of these angels. There's talk about known and suspected sources of Book H, Clevica Tapilarum Enochi, from the deceased Frederick Adams of Ferraferia fame. We have some working with the energy body and instructions of what one may do room-wise and position-wise, and development of the experience, our ability of such wise. Frederick Adams' illustration on page 61 with its words and stuff makes me think of a sense of a Imbolc theme. Perhaps something in the future, right? The Huronian planetary magic system of the Sapiens is such as one may have seen years ago in my Jovial, the Jupiter pentacle which in the Kabbalah is the right elbow. You know, the themes and that sort of stuff. And no, I was never a worshiper of the planets. There's just planetary symbolism and pathways and stuff that you can work with. The talk of Hera and Zeus talks about the yearly cycle, which has influenced me to do seasonals all these years, and how it relates to marriage and fulfillment otherwise. Being of LDS background, the ceremonial geomancy, and talk about the Haurum wa Hatumim, I think that's how you pronounce it, and, you know, what symbols could have been on them, what type of stones were being used, how it relates to those square astrology things that, you know, back in the day you had those little you pulled the paper into that like a little bird little thing, and you held your fingers like that, and, you know, that really relates to that sort of astrological thing. They would cast horoscopes with squares. Not that when you do that you have to say this happened because of this planet or whatever in this position compared with this star, and, you know, that's not the ultimate purpose of astrology, is it? But people do remember dates that, you know, connect to other dates. I'll say more about Adamson's Quest when I talk about the book itself. But the thing that stood out for me was this idea that, you know, the guy was accused of being some sexual predator because he shaved his face. And it's like, well, fascism, corporatism, even communism can ask people to do that. So, you know, basically left-wing or authoritarian, less freedom, more government sort of systems can do that. But there are other reasons than, you know, military and police and you know, that would give reasons why people may turn away from their nature in that respect to shave their face as men, other than it being related to some sort of extreme fetish that a person should never act on. Carol Pocrunion's cartoon on page 94 is in style and sense of humor and, you know, connected meaning or lesson, like the other stuff that you see of him over the years. Lynn Carter was more than a military man. He was a storyteller that worked in a sense of mythology to it. Of course, the Necronomicon is a representative reference, and you can tell by the stuff that has been released since H.P. Lovecraft in regards to the Necronomicon that either the people composing it didn't know the differences and didn't know about these cultures and how those Mesopotamian and Arab cultures use their magic, but you do seem some sort of a blend and some sort of mythological ideas that, you know, could have been something that people believed, but those texts are not authentic. But of course, people have practiced with them to the point where people have had experience and don't know the difference between working with your own psychology and that ends up inviting things in and otherwise. But there are real grimoires that were being passed around and used and based on experience and trying to obscure their origins or their purposes, you know, from persecution via the churches coming down on them as a result. There is a snake mythology that connects to the sky and to our bodies that weaves its way through cultures. And people can call it Tantra, or by whatever other name. It doesn't matter as much as people would think. Reverend Jack Chick knew about Aleister Crowley and how he had a big influence, but either didn't understand it right or outright demonized it. The Church of Hermetic Sciences and the Ordo Templi Astartes, they had the opportunity to be an OTO lodge instead. They have the college or something like that instead. But, so you do see stuff defending Crowley and using Crowley at times, but Crowley as the prophet and such, that really wasn't their thing. And certain things that he taught in the Book of the Law and otherwise. But yeah, there's far more of a threat from these authoritarian Christian types than there is from, these cults that they talk about. Arthur Machen, Dion Fortune, Somerset Maugham, and George MacDonald are recommended things to read for the various reasons. To actually understand that, one should read it from here, because I'm not going in further because I don't think it's my right to spoil this. The seventh ray is not about, feel good and oversimplification. It's about working things out, either in restoration, in bringing out what's new by people who actually practice and, believe in such a way that they can work of these systems. And there's a lot more art to this than what I have explained here. In book 4, they release the 20 old issues, which were 20 years prior to the end of the 90s release of this text. But magic is not escapism. It is romantic, though, but not escapism.